Great. I think everybody is in, so let's get started. Actually, I want to take you back in time, almost 31 years ago. Somewhere on the North Atlantic Ocean, on board of a Navy frigate called Blois van Treslong. And there's me, 90-year-old me, having dinner with some friends, colleagues on board of the ship, when suddenly all the ventilation drops. And I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but if you're 24/7 surrounded by the same background noise, you don't hear it anymore, unless it drops. Then it will be silent. And when it was silent, there was an alarm. It's beep, beep, fire. Attention, here's a technical control room. There's a fire in the back engine room. A fire in the back engine room. This is not a drill. And for a second, everybody was sitting motionless. And then, as a sudden, everybody dropped their gear, what they were doing, and moved to their certain positions. So we had people setting up medical positions. There were people running towards boundary cooling, surrounding this engine room. Hey, we need to cool it down in order to, if there's a fire, to spread it. And my position was what we called at a fire post. I was the third attack crew. So I run to that position. And when I arrived there, close to the back engine room, I met my buddy, Pete. And together with Pete, I was the one to jump into the fire. So we were helped getting dressed in this fireproof or fire-resistant suits, having breathing equipment on. Some guys already rolled out the hoses, and we had a high-power water shield, a high-volume foam cannon, and we were almost ready to go back or into those engine rooms, into that engine room. Behind us, there was a petty officer having a thermal camera, having a radio connection to the technical control room. And we were ready to go into the fireplace, into the back engine room. And before we continue, I would like to go back a few minutes before that and explain you a little bit on how does it look like on board of those frigates. And this is technology 40 years old, so to modern standards it looks different, but there's a control room, it's set up, it's manned 24/7. Some able seamen, some petty officers, and whatever happens on the ship is displayed there. And there on the right, on the side, you see a map of the ship, a complete layout of the ship. And every compartment, every room has a fire indicator. So whenever a fire or a smoke alarm goes off, there's a sound alarm and a little red light blinking, ping, ping, fire. Whatever they do first is, hey, they send somebody out. So the guy there sitting in front of it will grab a radio, grab some fire extinguishers, run to that back engine room in this case, and see, hey, what's going on? What will happen? And he arrived there. There's a hatch on the floor. If you open it, there might be a big fire. You never know. So touching the hatch, it's still cold, so there's probably not a big fire inside. You open it up, but a lot of smoke was coming out. So he immediately knew, hey, this is something serious. There's something going on in that back engine room. So he radioed back to the technical control room, and they sounded the alarm. They stopped the ventilation, sounded the alarm. That's what happened there. So I was with my buddy Pete on the way back to that engine room, and it's good to know that if there's a fire on board of a Navy frigate, or any ship actually, there are 3 waves of attack. Maybe more if needed, but 3 initial waves. The first one is the first person on the scene carrying this manual equipment, but if there's smoke, you can't do anything. Then there's a second attack. And the second attack are the people wearing up quickly with some gloves, balaclava, but also portable fire extinguishers. They can go, and a breathing apparatus. So they have some breathing protection, oxygen on their back. They can go in the fire room, and they did it. So before us entering, already 2 guys went down in that back engine room, trying to distinguish a fire. So me and my buddy Pete, we entered. The hatch was already open. Slowly we went down the stairs, having the guy with the thermal camera behind us, staying in close contact with the technical control room, and he was constantly updating us. I don't see a fire. I see a heat source, but it's not hot enough to be fire. There are also 2 persons. They're still there. They're moving. Great. Good for us to know that the second attack crew was at least still alive and was doing their job. And we went through the smoke, and finally we came to the position where the heat source was, and 2 guys were there still working. He said, okay. We shouted and screamed, how are you doing? What's going on? And they turned around and said, it's okay, it's controlled. Not a big fire, we extinguished it, so you're here for nothing. Actually, it's good. Heart rate was already 180, I think, going into that fire, but those two guys already extinguished it. 2 hours later, we vented out the room. It turned out there was a bearing of, I think it was a port side shaft. There's a lot of grease there. It overheated. Well, heat and grease is smoke. Maybe some fire, small one, but nothing too serious. 2 hours later, we were having a beer, sitting down and said to each other, wow, that was exciting. But we dealt with it. We made it work. Let's do a bit of fast forward, because almost 31 years later, I was being in an assignment. And I'm an Agile coach, and I work in these different environments. And there's a lot of IT, or a lot, but there are IT incidents happening. And one of those incidents, well, I'm pretty sure you all know it, something is going on, we're having a production issue, and first thing is, yeah, there might be something wrong, there's an indication that, let's call. Oh, people are already start calling us. Let's call John, he probably knows it. Well, John is on the safari on a, I don't know, rural Africa trip. We can't reach him out. Well, let's get to the team. Yeah, which team? Okay, we find a team and maybe they can deal with this problem. We need to access the logs. Yeah, but I don't have access to them. Actually, I don't know where they are. I don't know. So I was thinking to myself, why could it be that 30 years ago, we had a crew of 19, 20 years old. It's actually been there. You won't say it, but I think it's also 30 kilos and 30 years. But why were we able to solve that problem quickly in a structured way? And today, when there's a relatively simple IT incident, we aren't able to deal with that. What's happening there? So I kept on thinking about that, and in no random order, I came up with a few, well, for me, valuable lessons, which I think I can share in this presentation with you. One of the most important reasons, fire preventing. On board of a ship, it's all about scheduled maintenance. We make sure that all the machines are there, they're in tip-top order, they're repaired, they're running smoothly. There's a Boy Scout rule, clean up any debris. Actually, back then, we didn't call it Boy Scout rule, just clean up your mess. If you see something which is not correct, clean it up. If you see something leaking, fix it. If you can't fix it, report it, and then fix it. Kind of basic stuff, but it's important to remember. Any risk solved immediately. How does that relate to our technical environment at the moment? Make technical debt a priority. So often I see backlogs with incidents and leaks we know about, but aren't really fixing them. No time, it's not important for us. We know our way around on potential risks. Map them, do something with them, at least make sure you're aware of them. Peer reviews as your first line of defense. It's all about preventing incidents from happening. I think we can learn a lot from that. That's an important one. Another one, train. When I joined the Navy, I had a 6-week training course on, hey, how do you fight fire? How do you deal with that? So on the basic ground in Den Helder, in the port, they have a simulated ship. You can go in there and they can react any kind of fire, any kind of even flooding of the ship. We can train it there. On board, we had different fire drills. And there's even, and still up to the day they are there, it's called the FOST, the Fleet Operational Ship Training. It's a crew of British Navy engineers who just enter your ship. They stay there for a couple of weeks and they act like chaos monkeys. Pretty sure you all heard about chaos monkeys, but they literally break stuff or set it on fire. Not real fire, but set up smoke pots or disabling machines. In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, they stop your energy or your propulsion. That's chaos monkey hardcore. But it works. It makes you aware of, hey, what should we do? And if we practice in a safe environment, we can deal with the real situations. Same what we should do, I think, more in our IT environments. Practice in production maybe even in production environments, if you're really good, with multiple teams. Not only one team, but make teams work together on that. Set up a schedule for that. Basic training in a sandbox environment. And I think it was Jennifer this morning who had a really good presentation on sink or swim, the importance of training and why does it matter. Do that. And well, then have the guts or trust to go chaos monkey. Who's practicing in incidents at the moment? If on an IT environment, can you raise some hands if you are practicing IT incidents? Nice. But not a lot. I see 3, 4 hands. The rest. Who would like to practice? Why aren't you doing it? Sorry? Maybe ask him what he will do if his ship is on fire to do so. So it's good to have that there. So crossing your fingers is not really a good strategy. Oh, if something happens, I think we will manage. I'm pretty sure you will not if you don't practice. So set it up and do something with it. Having the right people, that's an important one as well. On board of a ship, it's top 1 priority. The first few weeks on the ship, you learn how the ship is built up, the different decks, the compartments, which rooms are there, what are the dangers of each room, where's munition or ammunition stored, what's an engine room, what are all the hazards. So getting to know the ship is top priority. Anybody on board of the ship could do attack 1 or 2, with the portable fire extinguishers. A few specialists trained could also do attack 3 and even a halon attack, meaning just close off a complete engine room, fill it with halon gas. It's not allowed anymore, I think, but it used to work pretty well, and data centers were also using it, not anymore. In your team, make sure every team member or every people in all the teams you have the basic knowledge of the system set up, invest in it, train them there. Make sure that the tools you're using, everybody can use them and know how to operate on them and where to find them and how to find those logs. The majority of the incidents should be solved by the team. And there's always specialists you can reach out to, but put your teams in such a status that they can deal with at least most of the problems they roll into. That will help you there. Trust, that's so important. And even the previous presentation, if you're in this room, they talk about trust, right? On board of a ship, it's my life. If it's fire included, and it's not only on a ship, but it's only fire departments, I'm trusting you with my life, with the rest of the team. So I must trust you and you must trust me. That goes 2 ways. It's also about following orders, almost blind. Sometimes literally, if you're in the smoke and you don't see anything, and somebody tells you, to the left is a fire, well, I have to trust them, it's there. Building a trust in your IT environment, in your IT teams or your DevOps teams. Start building a team, invest in it, make it grow. Do things together, practice together, train together. Make sure you can trust each other on your capabilities and your skills. Spend some time on helping and learning each other. Pair programming, not only for the sake of pair programming, but really just, I want to really help you. So in case of something happens or we have an incident, you are also able to solve it. Also in Jennifer's talk, you saw this nice quadrant she wrote where, hey, junior people, put them on a certain level until they can also do the standby services. That would really help you there. And important, if we have an emergency, we need some leadership. That can be leadership on a team level. That could be leadership on a department level or organizational level. During a fire there, an ultra short and clear line of command, but also with the freedom for the people really going into that engine room to do whatever they thought was good and make sure the fire goes out. Lead with intent. Turn the Ship Around, David Marquette, great book, also about the same topic, Navy ships, submarine in this case, but it's leading with intent. The attack crew could make their own decisions. So once we're in that engine room, it's up to us how to attack that fire. It's up to us to make sure it's extinguished. Also there, in the IT environments, be clear on purpose, method, and end state. If there's an incident, hey, the purpose is we want to get back in business as soon as possible. The method could be, hey, you can use some workarounds, and the end state should be in an hour from now, we should be able to serve at least 10% of our traffic. Could be. In other circumstances, The purpose could be, we want to have a fully operational service again. The method could be, hey, be precise, no shortcuts, just do it right, might take a little bit longer. And the end state is, we have a 100% running service again, end of the day, hopefully. So it could also differ per situation, but be clear on what you want, how it would look like. Are you allowed to make, and the method, are you allowed to take shortcuts or not, or you want to be more precise. Decentralized decision making, if possible. The people in the teams, they have the knowledge, they know the context. Trust them to get the job done. Trust the teams there. On leadership. Sorry for my cough, got something with my lungs going on, and sometimes I have to cough. Having the right tools, specialized tools for different environments. And what really made me thinking last time is that even on board of this ship, the people using the tools are also the people maintaining the tools, making sure that all these fire extinguishers are checked every month or something, that the pumps are working, that the valves are working. The same people who operate that equipment make sure, take care of the maintenance of those. Know how to use the tools, and an important one, having access to all the rooms and spaces. On board of the ship, there are some rooms you can't access. They're locked, it's with ammunition. Well, there's some secret stuff going on, sometimes on Navy ships. You can't enter all the rooms. But the petty officers in charge of the technical control room have a master key. So whatever happens, if there's an alarm, grab the master key, run to it, and you can enter everything. How about the tools, the teams we are working with? Having the right tools for logging, monitoring, make sure how to use them and trust them, and have a tested identity and access management. Make sure that in case of an incident, you can enter, you can reach your destination, you can view the logs. I've worked with quite some teams that said, no, we have it all in control. Have you tested it? Not really. Try it, see what happens. Or we can't access. Okay, well, make sure you can. And it will help you in time of an emergency and make sure you make the right decisions there. What else there? Monitoring. 24/7 monitoring on board of the ship. It's always manned, looking out. Pager duty in front of me could send you the alarms there. Every alarm is treated serious. So if there's an indication for a fire, we treat it like a fire. How many times did I see a red alert going off on dashboards and people saying, it's probably nothing. Or, yeah, the alarm is giving always wrong information. It goes off, but it doesn't matter. Then don't make it red, right? And there's scenarios. So whatever happens, if we have a fire in that room, this is how we should deal with it. If we have an incident, a helicopter ditch, this is how we should deal with it. Make sure you think of scenarios. What if we have incidents in our production environment? What if we have incidents in just one data center or two? Or what if our connections drop? I don't know. Create scenarios and work on them. Measure and be sure to measurements count. So measure everything. And if it doesn't matter and you would like to say, yeah, there's a red alarm going on, but it doesn't really matter, ignore it. And on intervals, rethink of your scenarios. Always good to see, hey, has something changed? Should we change something else? Is the environment different? Adjust, plan and adjust. So these were some of the thoughts I had while thinking on, hey, why was that? 30 years ago we could deal with it, now not. With incidents, is there something else we can do? And just some of the things that came up in my mind. Well, clicking here. Just as a wrap up, you know incidents will happen. You know that whatever you do, whenever you're working, incidents will show up. Be ready for them, be prepared. Don't cross your fingers and hope they will pass or impact will not be that high. Just make sure you're ready for those impacts. Invest in your people, invest in your tools, and trust the teams to get the job done. That's one of the most important messages I want to give to you. And as a final remark for this conversation or this talk, I think this is my experience. This is my experience 30 years ago. But I'm pretty sure that all of you will have a similar kind of experience. Maybe not firefighting at sea, but you could be part of a team or a group of people where you think, hey, with this group of people we could perform magic, we could do anything, we could solve any problem. And think back and try to remember what were the circumstances there, what made us to give me that feeling, or what made us to achieve such good results. And try if you can recreate them as leaders of your teams or your organizations. Hey, can we recreate that? Or can we learn something from that? Thank you.